Sorry it took me a bit to get to this request. I had a busy day yesterday and this morning. But now I've got perfect time to actually make this video. What if Shigeo Kageyama from Mob Psycho 100 were written as an X-Men character? Now, the interesting thing about this is there's a lot of people with psychic-based powers that already exist in the X-Men universe. So his powers almost immediately can be translated to Marvel Comics pretty easily. And in terms of his powers, they are vast and numerous. Basically, think of any ability that you could think of that has something to do with psychic based powers, and I'm pretty sure Mob can do that. Also, including the ability to channel his psychic powers into physical boosts, amplifying his physical stats by channeling his psychic power through his body. Usually, that happens whenever he's using his 100% form or the absolute craziness that is his mystery percent form. Now, I'm not sure the exact classification where he'd rank power-wise. Like, I'm not sure if he'd be considered an alpha level mutant, an omega level. I'm not sure the exact classification. But what I know for certain is he would build very strong bonds with multiple X-Men characters. He'd get along with countless different psychic characters. I could see him having a little bit harder time with the more rough and rugged characters like Wolverine and people of that caliber. Mainly because their personalities would kind of clash in a bit. Because Mob, he's awkward. So someone who's way more upfront is going to not really meld well with him at first. But one thing I think would be cool, like a couple cool interactions, would be Mob meeting someone like Jean Grey, him meeting someone like Xavier. Hell, imagine if Mob met Magneto. I also think that the X-Men community would actually be pretty impressed for how much power he has at such a young age. Now, sure, there are other mutants that are like ridiculously powerful at a young age, but for a majority of those other characters, they're way more upfront and much more eager to use their godlike power. I think certain characters in the X-Men like Xavier, Jean Grey, hell, even Wolverine, would be interested to get along with Mob, especially knowing how much he doesn't like using his powers unless he has to. The one interaction that I think would be really interesting is we know Mob's whole ideal of psychic power should only be used to help people or to protect yourself, never to cause direct harm. Basically, only use them in self-defense or to help people. So when it comes to the mutants who use their powers to make people respect them out of fear, when it comes to who I think he'd side with between Xavier and Magneto, I think he's definitely going to go with Xavier. Because Magneto was way too violent for how Mob as a character is. Like, sure, I see Mob obviously sympathizing with Magneto and the other mutants for both sides. It's just, I don't see his personal character and his personal ideals being outweighed by Magneto and his cause. He would still see it as that they can find a way to come to some sort of middle ground, to reach some sort of peace instead of trying to rule over with an iron fist to force people to not hurt mutants or not disrespect them. And in terms of a fight, I know we're moving on past what I was just talking about, but I would love to see Mob versus a Sentinel. Or hell, could you imagine a fight between an all-out Magneto and an all-out Mob? That would be insanity. That would be such a cool fight.